Hi, Leo. This is your reading for the week of October 27th, or when you hear it and it resonates, Sun, Moon, Rising, or a lot of Leo in your chart. Won't be for everybody. So, Leo, the image that I see is quite comical, actually. It's you standing in a kitchen, which is a place where you're very comfortable. And you've got a chef's hat on, and you're making pancakes. They're small pancakes, and you're flipping them, and you're smiling. But then all of a sudden, it's like you're flipping them, and you're flipping them at the wall, and you're flipping them at the people you're making them for. And there's a part of you, almost it's like you're becoming the mad chef. So the image that I get with that, even though it's quite humorous, is it feels to me as though for some of you, you're going through something where you've been experiencing a lot of pain. And I dare say a lot of it's emotional pain, because the feeling that I'm getting here is that you've been really trying to take care of people. You've been trying to take care of situations. And all of a sudden now it's not even necessarily all of a sudden. It's not necessarily working out the way you'd hoped. You're not in the place where you'd like to be exactly. You may be unsure of what's going on, but whatever it is, there's this quality of real discomfort around the emotions that you're experiencing. Now, there are two things that are coming up right now. One is that sense of, Leo, I would just like this to be a time for you when you can just drop the responsibility, because a lot of you have come in feeling like there's a burden of responsibility. And what I'm getting with this is that it's almost time for you to, I feel almost as though, I didn't know I was going to say this, it's almost like it's time for you to reclaim your childhood. And as I say that, it's like, yeah, there were things for you growing up where whatever the situation was, and I'm sure there are many varied ones, but it was one where the coping mechanism was to become responsible, or it was something that was just thrust upon you in terms of caring for siblings or taking the burden, like being the buffer between, one parent and another, or one parent and the rest of the kids. It can be that. Could be something like that. It could simply be the fact that you had absolutely no support or no sense of being supported or seen by the people around you. And so you had to kind of you became your own warrior, your own defender, and it created a certain amount of containment and perhaps rigidity sometimes around emotions because of that. Doesn't change the fact that in your heart, you want to do things for people, you want to give. But the two can be conflicted, therefore, sometimes. What I'm getting here is, in this case, it looks like there's some conflict. Started out a nice breakfast. Pancakes are flying everywhere now. This is about you setting yourself free. This is about you taking a break from trying to make everything better. But it's also saying, and who says so? Like, why not? Why can't I just suddenly let go of having to do all of these things? And in this case, I feel it's, why can't I stop being vigilant about what I'm feeling, how I say it, what's going on? Can I let go and just let people be who they are and let me do what I need to do? Now, within that, it's also telling you, notice when you, at any point, in any situation, where you stop and find yourself in a train of thought that was good and then you turned it and changed it into a negative. This can be sometimes where your wounds will show up, because sometimes when we do that, it's because something that we're talking about seems too good to be true, and you go, oh yeah, right, that's not going to work. That's never going to happen. Or I've always been cheated on before, or, nobody ever really sees me, and oh, look, it's happening again. So you're being asked to be aware of that, and maybe just hold off on throwing the pancakes and disturbing the whole meal. Okay? Definitely, you might need to be looking at some forgiveness, because it feels to me like, Leo, there's often, for Leos, there can be a lot of pain that's held, often at an unconscious level, because you can just kind of buck up and get on with life, stiff upper lip and all that. But I feel like there's quite a lot of pain underneath, and that there might be some opportunity for forgiveness coming up. And when I say opportunity for forgiveness, I have to correct that. There might be the opportunity for you to drop some of the pain associated with old situations where you were not treated well, or you were not taken care of enough, or you overgave and were felt taken advantage of, all those different things. It's really about you being able to step up in terms of seeing what goes on a daily level and within personalities and relationships as being a process of evolution. And that whenever we get triggered, we have the opportunity to deal with it in different ways than we have before, instead of dealing with a coping mechanism. And that often when we get triggered, often it's because somebody else has gotten triggered too, and then it behooves us to look at what our part in that was too, but to really seriously pay attention to when you stop yourself from leaning into the good, and to, for your sake alone, really take a break from trying to be perfect and make everything okay. You need to be able to be honest, because if you're not, then you can't ever get to the kind of freedom that comes with letting go of old stuff. And in the process of this, you're being also told, sorry, not sorry. You don't need to apologize for any of this. You don't need to apologize for yourself, for the choices that you've made. You also don't need to apologize for speaking up and telling the truth in a situation, because it is that stepping up and telling the truth and acknowledging that vulnerability without being sorry for it or feeling like there's something you have to apologize for. It's in that you start really operating from a healthier heart. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that, Leos. Take care.